Hello everyone, it's Amy, and I am just here to make a feather a la Secret Soto and Wendy Mason. And so this is the feather that I made earlier, and I just have one little change, and this is a little book that I covered to put the feather on. And the only difference is that for my spine, I'm making it into a pen. So that way, you can write with it. So let's do this really quickly. It's not too hard. I picked up some clicker pens at the Dollar Tree, and most pens that click like this, you unscrew the bottom and you can take the pen out. But I found with these ones, when I was trying to unscrew the bottom, they do not unscrew. So I just took off this plastic piece, a little pair of pliers. Now if you've got one that unscrews at the bottom, you can just unscrew it and pull out the pen. Be careful, you don't want to squish your pen. And just pull that out. Keep the spring for something else later, because you never know what you might need it for. And so now this is what you have. And this is what we're going to use for the spine of our feather. So I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper here, and I am using a cardstock paper, and it's a fairly heavyweight cardstock paper. And I am just going to cut a feather shape, or what is kind of like a feather shape. Yeah, kind of. Looks a bit like a feather. And then I'm just going to take some tacky glue. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pen in here, approximately where I want it, put my feather on top, and I'm actually going to angle this pen just a little bit so it goes from the base of the feather and kind of points towards the point of the feather. So, and then I'm going to press this down so that I know where that pen is fitting inside my feather. I'm just going to do like that, and then I'm going to hold on to that nice and tightly, flip it over, line this back up again, and do the same thing on this side. Just press with your nails on each side, just so you kind of know where that pen's going to be. Take your tacky glue and just put it all over your feather. And then you want to make sure that you've got a nice strip right down that dent that you made for your pen, so that it holds onto your pen so that your pen doesn't slide out. So you want just a little bit more in that groove than what you have everywhere else. Get it right down that groove. And there we go. Put my glue back upside down. There. Okay, and then what I did was, except for the groove, I just kind of spread out my glue, get it out to those edges, but I left the long string of glue in the dent. And I saw Secret Soto making these, and then I just saw Wendy Mason making some, and they were so pretty. I need to find something to wipe my hands on, and a really thin napkin is probably not the best thing to wipe tacky glue on. And I'm going to put that pen in there, and I just want to make sure that I've got that pen so that just my metal point is sticking out. I don't want any of this plastic part to be sticking out and seen. And then just take your two halves. You want to kind of line them up as best as you can from the start, because with tacky glue on both sides, it's going to grab really quickly. And you don't want to have to do too much adjusting, because that might be kind of hard. Okay, and then just press it together. And actually, on this one, I can tell you right now, I really didn't make my little spine of my feather quite wide enough. It should have been wider than that. But I'm going to just wrap that around the plastic, flip it over and wrap this one around the plastic. And I can always go in with like a little piece of matching paper and just put a little band around there later on to finish it off so that you don't see this side pen sticking out. So because on this one here, I left the spine wide enough that I could dent it on both sides and it looks nice. Okay, so we're going to give that a good press, make sure we've got it lined up where we want it, because once you start cutting, it's where it is. And of course you are going to cut it, so that's going to give you a little bit of leeway. And then all you do is take a pair of scissors, and I did do this while it's wet, because see how nicely these, it's hard to see, but see this, how the spines or the little tendrils on the feathers have curled up a little bit and separated, and it did that because the tacky glue is wet. So you know, it's not super wet, and I give it time to just, you know, tack to each other and kind of dry, and then you just take your scissors and just give it a nip. And I just nipped that the wrong way, so I'm going to just nip that right off, because feathers are not perfect. And you know, you want to get them kind of close, but you can leave them a little bit, because after I did the whole side of the feather, both sides of the feather, so these are probably about between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch wide. Sorry about that, if you can see that. And then what I'm going to do is, as soon as I'm done nipping both sides, then I went back in and I nipped them in half. And you can, and if I did that first, and if everyone works out perfectly, then here and there you can kind of go and nip a little piece off. But don't do that to start with, you know, because feathers have little spots where there's, you know, a bit missing. You can't even see it on these ones because they curled so nice. But now what I'm going to do is, right here is the end of my pen, and then my point is up here, so I want to start making this so that I'm pretending there's a spine right there that I'm kind of going up to, because I don't want these to all like just kind of all of a sudden dead end before I make it to the point. So you got to kind of like move your scissors as if your spine is curving. Be careful not to nip your point. And I'm going to flip it over and do exactly the same thing. And I'm going to just triangle quickly here so that you're not watching forever. And I got this idea. I love the feathers, and I love to make feathers. I have some ribbon feathers that I've made, and the washi tape feathers that have been shown around, and you know, and then they started making these, and I thought that was really cool. Now again, I have to pretend that my spine is going to go from here up to here, so I'm going to kind of start angling this way. Make sure that you don't connect with your little lines on the other side, or you'll cut your whole tip off. Just little tiny nips will be good. And then actually, these ones come in pretty close to the spine, but these ones I stopped way out here, so I really kind of need to bring these ones in a little bit closer to where the spine would be, so it looks more realistic without connecting with the ones on the other side. But yeah, so I was trying to think, well, what can I do with those feathers after I make them, because I knew if I started I'd probably make a bunch and then I would have all these feathers. So I'm going to stop right there for a second and tell you what I'm doing now. Okay, so we've got these all cut into little pieces, and what I'm going to do now And it's hard for you to see, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut each one in half. So, but I went to the Dollar Tree yesterday. I had to put my glasses on. And when I went to the Dollar Tree, they had some little pens, some colored pens that were like half feathers. They were just like the pen went up here and they were just one side of the feather. And when I saw those, I thought, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. So I bought those cheap pens and came home and tried it this morning. And I thought it turned out really cool. So I thought I would show you all how I did it. And then I thought it, works really cool to put it on the front of a book like that. You can give it as a gift, use it in a craft fair, just keep it on your desk to keep notes in. Again, as you're getting towards the point, be very, very careful not to nip all the way across. Okay, and see how these are kind of separating? So, and on the other ones, they curled all by themselves. I'm not sure if maybe I let it dry a little bit longer. They might have been a little skinnier. The paper, I'm pretty sure, was not quite as heavy as this. This is a really, really heavy cardstock. So, maybe a little bit thinner, but I think you do want to use cardstock because these are being cut so thin that paper, and using it as a pen, paper won't hold up. But just between each one, and again, being careful not to cut off my point, which would really suck since I'm almost done. There we go. And you can just kind of fluff those out any which way. Kind of give your feather even a little bit of a curl, like that. And then you can decorate them up. Everybody's decorating them with, beads on the spine and all sorts of things like that. You can go in, especially since this didn't curl and separate as much as the other, and just go in and take a little piece off here and there, because whenever you find a feather, you kind of notice that it's got a piece missing here or there. And if you go to cut a piece off and it just kind of like, it stays really thin and goes the other way, that's kind of okay, because that's just still making it look like the way that feathers look when you get them, when you find a real one in nature. Just kind of trim them off. If it comes off, it comes off, and if it doesn't, you've got that nice thin piece that's moving in a different direction. So it doesn't just look flat. And there we go. So there is our pen feather. You can decorate the spine, put some bling on there, do whatever you want. Make a little book. All I did here was roll a piece of paper up and then flatten it out. And that's where I put my, well, I just flattened it too much. And that's where I put my little pen. And I think that would make a really cute gift or a cute little craft fair item. So, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.